Hello, everybody. This is Jose Nava, one of your colleagues in the Business and Accounting Department. I've been asked to do a very brief review of our BSS online course quality standards or guidelines. And so I decided to do it within a content page in Canvas since I'm learning how to use Canvas currently. And as you can see, here is the basically the different sections of the presentation, but they also follow the tabs that I used for the talk here at this point. You see that there's actually a few different tabs on this page. So I'm going to go in sequence very briefly, and at the end I'm going to stop with the last tab here that has the actual standards that we came up with in a division about a year ago, probably last spring, I believe. In any case, I will talk a little background about online teaching here at Foothill. I will also show you a little bit of reference standards that are used in other parts of education. And as you'll see, they're very similar. So that helps us anchor ourselves to other people's work. Then I will show you the resolution that was called on by our Foothill College Academic Senate. I will also very briefly actually just mention and show you the OEI rubric, which is the actual standards that the Academic Senate resolved to use or to reference. And eventually, again, I will come back to our own online standards. So let's begin. In terms of a little background here, just wanted to sort of give you a flavor of what I found basically after a little bit of research. We've gone from distance learning, from correspondence to radio, to TV, to web, and now to MOOCs. And so that gives us a sort of obviously a very brief review of the history of distance learning, which has evolved and keeps evolving, and that means that we have to keep evolving with it in terms of how we teach our classes. You'll see a few more other points here, and again, I'm going to be very brief. I'll just sort of remind ourselves that there are some benefits and some challenges to teaching online, and currently, what we're really sort of grappling with is, basically enhancing how we teach our classes, since a very big portion of what we teach currently in the division is done online or is also done in hybrid format. So that also is obviously part of the discussion. It's not just online exclusively, but also both hybrid and web enhanced classes. Now there are these other standards that are being used among many more that exist, and I just chose a few. The INACOL, which is a high school online teaching standards. You can click on this link if you actually access. Eventually, we'll place this presentation in a place where you can click on these links. In any case, you can actually access these standards if you wish, including the Quality Matters standards, which are used by many other higher education institutions across the country. And here in California, we came up with our own, the OEI, or Online Education Initiative. If you look into these three types of standards, you will notice that what they look into in terms of the dimensions they use are basically the same. They break the different guidelines in different ways, but at the end of the day, they are actually quite similar. In terms of the OEI, there are four components, as they call them: course design, interaction and collaboration, assessment, and learner support. Now, if you go to the OEI standards, they will detail what that means there. Now, in terms of what we did here at Foothill College, our Academic Senate resolved to actually use the OEI as a reference standards for our own standards here at Foothill. So here's the actual resolution. I added some sort of notes that sort of encapsulates the each part of the resolution. And so at the end here, there are a couple of items that they resolved. One is that we are going to adopt the OEI, again, as a reference standard for our own online classes, and also that the academic center will delegate to the divisions, in our case, the BSS division, they'll delegate the actual development of division-specific guidelines. So that's what we did a few months ago. Again, in terms of the OEI standards, if you wish, you can actually come to this page here, and you will see that you can access these sites here so it will give you a very detailed view of what these are. But let me just click on this one just to give you a very quick sense of what they look like. And so this is the online version, and again, they go by each of the 4 components, and they give you a lot more detail if you wish, one by one if you wish. You can go to them at your leisure, but at the end of the day, they are really looking at these 4 components. In terms of our own specific standards, they are broken up into 3 parts. Now, I've also, below here, I have the actual detail of our own BSS standards for online teaching. But I actually came up with a sort of a notes, basically an outline of what the overall standards that we wrote talk about. So it makes it easy to sort of follow, maybe. So again, we addressed 3 items. We addressed the interaction and collaboration part or component of the OEI, and basically course design, and also the assessment part. So basically, we're basically doing 3 of the 4 components in the way that we came up with, in what we came up with in terms of our own standards. In part 1 here, we're looking at regular and effective contact hours. So it says if you go back down here to this part of the page, it will give you examples of what that means. It says weekly activity, at least for the first 7 weeks. It also talks about response time to students' questions and postings and comments, and that is 24 to 48 hours from the time they posted their question, their comment, etc., Monday to Friday. And again, you can go into detail for more info on that. And lastly, in terms of this component here, there's also instructor-initiated communication. We want, or we all should be making the initial attempt at getting involved and getting ourselves building a rapport and building a sense of collaboration between instructors and faculty, and instructors and students, and obviously among the students themselves as well. The second component of our standards is faculty presence. This also talks or relates to the interaction and collaboration and course design components of the OEI. And in that case, our BSS standards calls for instructors developing their own content. So instructors should basically integrate their own voice into the content of their own classes. And again, if you want a little more info on what that means in terms of us, in terms of our standard, you can just click on this and see what that means here. We can talk in more detail about this even maybe in a meeting going forward in the quarter. And finally, the third component in the BSS online quality course quality standards is going to be assessment. Here, the main point, I guess, in my view, is that we have assessments that actually align directly to the learning objectives, to the content, and to how we teach. It doesn't always happen that way. It's actually not always easy to make this happen. But that's what the standards are calling for. Obviously, the other piece here would be to make a very good attempt at keeping uh, academic integrity in our classes, whether online or not, actually. And again, if you want a little more detail on that, you can just click on the assessment section here, and you can see what that means. Finally, I will just mention one more point, is that I place here a link to the Language Arts Standards document that they provided, which I think is a little more detailed than ours, and it might also serve as another reference for our work as instructors in how we develop and implement our own standards. I think that's a pretty useful one to actually refer to, since it's a little better structure, I believe. They have the same components, but it's a different, it's a little better organized. Well, hopefully that was helpful. I will see you around the campus.